What is going on, everybody? It's the Frost, and we're here for an unscripted review of Smackdown from last night, where we saw not one, not two, not three, but four men return from either suspension, injury, or whatever. We saw the return of Jimmy and Jey Uso, we saw the return of Sheamus, and the return of John Morrison. So, Smackdown getting some fresh blood coming into the new year, so that is always a good thing. We also saw the continuation of the Fiend and Daniel Bryan's feud going into the Royal Rumble. Lacey Evans, Dana Brooke picking up a win in a triple threat tag team match between these two, the Boston Hug Connection and Let's Cross Applesauce. So, effectively, like, not a bad show last night, I would say. People complaining, oh, Dana Brooke got a win. Oh my god, Dana Brooke got a win. Who cares? I don't care what anyone says. I've seen it. Anyone else seen it? If you haven't, you're an idiot. Dana Brooke has improved. Not much, but a little. It's like just little by little. Dana Brooke and Alexa Bliss over time have both improved. I actually can tolerate Lacey Evans a little bit more as a babyface than a heel. She actually feels more believable. Feels like she actually sounds more genuine because she's fighting to be better for her daughter. It's so much better there. Now, before we get the opening credits, or the opening video package, we had Daniel Bryan backstage getting ready for his match tonight because, unfortunately, we have Daniel Bryan and Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin and Dolph Ziggler in the main event. The Miz comes up to him and he talks about how the Fiend, he wants to get his hands on the Fiend and to end the Fiend because the Fiend violated his home and went into where his daughter sleeps. That Miz says there's nothing he needs more than avenge what the Fiend did to him. But you won last week. You earned the right to face the Fiend at Rumble, but Miz will, and while I figure things out what to do next, and in the meantime, I just have one thing to say to you. Beat the Fiend at the Rumble, not just for me, but for everybody, and walks off. Miz is going back to heel going into 2020, you can tell. Just from this and his match against Kofi Kingston, the Fiend has gotten us one thing right with the Miz, and that is get him to heel. Daniel face Miz has been absolutely atrocious for the last 8-9 months. So seeing him going back to a heel, good on them. Lacey Evans versus Dana Brooke versus Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss versus Sasha Banks and Bayley was your opening contest. We go to the ring and out comes the women's champion along with Sasha Banks. Bayley mocks the crowd and taunts them for talking about 2020 and, saying, how's those New Year's resolutions going? I look out here and none of you, and I mean none of you, have what it takes to do what you need to better yourself. Me and Sasha in 2019 looked ourselves in the mirror and made some hard decisions. They start talking trash about Lacey Evans. She comes out with Dana Brooke. Evans is fired up. She congratulates Banks and Bayley on using their 7-year-old daughter to get to her. Evans goes on and is determined to destroy Banks and Bayley and make an example out of those two for her daughter and everybody in the WWE universe. So they get in the ring, or get ready to get to the ring, and out come Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Bliss sees the drama out here and wonders if they even belong in this match. Cross says of course they do if they want to get back their women's tag team titles. Bliss is like, okay, well, I guess we'll start off 2020 with a win. They come to the ring, and we have ourselves a match. As I said, we had a triple threat match. I hate multi-man tag team matches. I hate triple threat tag team matches and fatal 4-ways because what is the point of having this where, oh, you have 2 people in the ring at the same time, even though there's 3 teams, and it's just so goddamn annoying to see these guys go out there and it's like, oh, here's 3 teams, but only 2 can be at the same time. 2 people can be in the ring at the same time. Just make it a traditional triple threat where all 3 members, one of each team is in the ring. They tag one or the other. I hate these. I hate it when they do with fatal 4-way tag team matches. It's just so stupid. But you have yourself a match here. It goes back and forth. All three teams getting in their offense and defenses. Bayley nails Bayley to Evans, but Bliss and Brooke break it up. Cross and Bliss go at it with Banks now, more back and forth. Evans fights off Bailey and Banks. Evans ends up dropping Banks with the woman's right after Dana Brooke tags in. Brooke up top with a senton, something she does need to definitely work on. 1, 2, 3. Sasha Banks gets pinned. Dana Brooke and Lacey Evans are your winners. Banks is still down in the ring. Lacey Evans just looks down at her, looking like she just wants to attack her again, attack her twice, or beat her up again, but that will happen next week, as it has been announced that it will be Lacey Evans versus Sasha Banks apparently next week. We have about 4 weeks until the Royal Rumble. I'm pretty sure between now and then we will get Lacey Evans versus Bailey named for the Royal Rumble. We see what happened last week with Otis. Dolph Ziggler destroying the fruitcake that Otis gave Mandy, which was made by his mother, apparently, which I doubt. I mean, you can buy those for... Seriously, who makes a fruitcake? You buy it in a store. Otis is curling beer kegs in the back. Rose approaches him and wishes him a Happy New Year. Otis looks sad and is bothered. She asks if his mom made anything good for the holidays, and he says to ask Ziggler. He asks if he saw that. He did, and so did his mother. Rose apologizes. Tucker walks up and tells Otis to focus on the match. On his match, they walk off as Rose looks on. Back to commercial break. I tweeted this a couple days ago. Is it just me, or does Mandy Rose and Otis the only thing that's really compelling on here that actually feels real? This feels real. This feels like something that you want the Otis and Rose eventually end up as a couple. Just me? Is it really just me? Or does it just feel like that the only thing that's like a compelling storyline? I mean, this is way better than the Lashley and Lana and Rusev shit we have on I'm sorry, Lashley, Lana, Rusev, and Liv Morgan now, I guess. Storyline happening on Monday Night Raw. This just feels like such a better storyline. It feels more natural. It's not being shoved down your throat. It's really in the background. So honestly, in my opinion, this is a lot better than anything you're seeing on Raw. Back from break, The Miz walks up to the Smackdown Tag Team Champions, A New Day. They have the 2020 spelled out on pancakes on a platter. Kofi knows Miz is bummed that 2019 didn't end how he wanted to, but they talk about how good this decade was. They try to hype him up and say he will have more titles to come. Miz asks if them and they really think this is about titles. He's like, he violated, like, the Fiend, he's again repeats, the Fiend violated his home. You don't know what that feels like, do you? And Miz slaps the platter onto the ground and Big E gets furious. Kofi keeps Big E back, and of course Miz challenges one of these guys to a match later on, and Kofi accepts. You go to the ring, and out comes Elias with the guitar. Elias wants to see what Memphis has got. He sings a new song and takes shots at Shane, Live Bible, Dolph Ziggler, Bad Company, Ziggler's Bad Comedy Act, King, Baron Corbin. Elias goes on and says everyone will see when they walk with him at the 2020 Royal Rumble, and finishes the song and fans cheer. So the Elias has been doing the whole singing bit for 2 years, or about 2.5 years now. And outside of SummerSlam 2018, he has always been interrupted, until recently. This is the second time he's been out in a row that he actually hasn't been interrupted. I find it just kind of weird that now he's just singing, but the second or third time that he's able to have a set and be done without being interrupted. Coach talks about the Revival having issues as of late. He sees how they lost the Miracle on 34th Street fight to Head of Machinery. We see footage from earlier in the day with Scott Dawson and Dash Wilder complaining about the match. They're not here risking their lives so people can just make bad jokes. And they want to show them respect on their names and how they work too hard for the company to make them a few clowns. They also mention Elias. Chad Gable walks up and says he overheard what they were saying and they shouldn't let what Elias say bother them. Gable says he stopped thinking about what people thought about him a while back, and that was the best thing he'd done for himself. Oh, really now? Because calling yourself Shorty G was the best thing for you. Going out there getting crickets when you come out for a match is the best thing for you. Go back to the King of the Ring 4, 5, 6 months ago, and the reception he got every time he came out after that first match, when he was Chad Gable still. How over Chad Gable was. Chad Gable was over way more than Shorty G ever has or ever will be. Well, just mocked the former. He says bad. He says the bad short jokes no longer bother him, and he has a new motto: rise over size. Who comes up with this shit? Rise over size. Oh, that sounds so awful. I literally just want to rip my tongue out for saying that. Gable found that if you're comfortable in your own skin, you can do anything. I would love to have Chad Gable behind closed doors and ask him without a mic on, without anything, and shoot. Are you comfortable doing this thing? Are you comfortable being mocked by people on social media with this terrible, terrible gimmick? What happened to that wrestling guy, that Kurt Angle-esque wrestling guy, that wrestling machine that you were turning into? What happened to that guy? He's nowhere to be found. I'm telling you that right now. That says anything, huh? Anything. Well, anything but beat one of us in a match. And then Gable challenges Dash to a singles match later on, and trash talks continue as the revival back off. So we get that match, Chad Gable versus Dash Wilder. Yes, Chad Gable is one of the absolute best we have in WWE, one of the best they have. Now, this guy should be out there challenging for the Intercontinental title, wrestling maybe for a shot at the Universal title somewhere down the road. But he's not going to be anything. This guy is going to be. This is one of those things. He's getting a push now because getting any TV time now because Vince McMahon finds it funny that this guy is just loving the name Shorty G. When Vince McMahon says, "Well, I'm done playing with this toy. Back to the box. He'll be in catering, and I want to." Here's the thing: when Vince McMahon's like, "I'm done with this toy," and throws him back into his toy box when he goes to get something else. What is Chad Gable going to do? How's he going to be like, oh, this Shorty G is the best thing that ever happened to me when you're sitting in catering in about 3 or 4 months, doing nothing, and doing nothing in the crowd, and you're not over with the crowd because I'm telling you right now, this gimmick is not over and it will never be over. Short match here. Chad Gable wins with an ankle lock. Dash taps out after the match. Dawson comes in. These guys beat the hell out of Chad Gable. And then all of a sudden, Sheamus music hits. He's back. He looks like he's ready to fight. He comes down to the ring. They throw Chad Gable into him. He just moves out of the way of that, sends them away, turns right around, brogue kick to Chad Gable, and that was that. So Sheamus is back. The only difference is, and this is the thing, the only difference is between the last time he returned from an injury, when he came back with the mohawk, when the first time we saw him with the mohawk and the braided beard. He was a clean-cut babyface back then, and when he brogue kicked Adrian Neville back then, taking him out, fans booed him heavily. This time, there were no boos. Well, there were a few boos, but there were also a bunch of welcome back chants. So, this should be interesting to see what happens with Sheamus. He, of course, is going to be a heel. It'll be interesting to see what happens and where this guy goes. It's about time he came back. Is it going to be Chad Gable versus Sheamus in his first feud? More than likely. Do I see Chad Gable coming out of this with a win or being on the high side of it all? I don't know. Moving on here, we had Kofi Kingston versus The Miz. This, of course, was beginning the Fiend beating violating Miz's house was the beginning of a return to his heel persona. And this match, maybe not seen it as much, but first off, can we get Miz to stop doing the running knees? They look awful. Absolutely freaking atrocious. I can't stand the look of him doing these running knees in the corner. It looks like he's just running and then lightly tapping with his knees. It's terrible. Now, boom drop by Kofi. Biggie tells the referee that it's over. Kofi rallies the crowd as Miz gets up. Miz ducks Trouble in Paradise. Kofi blocks Miz, but a shot, but Miz blocks the SOS. Kofi blocks the skull crushing finale. Tangles up, gets a rollover pin. 1, 2, 3, and Kofi is your winner after the match. Miz gets right up, can't believe it, and attacks Kofi from behind, beating him in the corner. Biggie finally turns around and sees what's this. Biggie hits the ring. Miz retreats to the stage. Fans with a "You suck" chant. And then Miz is just pissed off. He's like, everything I've been through, I've given you everything. He's yelling at the crowd. He's not happy. The crowd looks to have turned on him finally. The Miz is for sure a heel. Kathy Kelly is backstage with Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan. Kathy Kelly asks Bryan about Bryan's title shot. Bryan goes on about how people are mentally breaking because of the Fiend, but he's the only one who has it, and he will prove that by winning the Royal Rumble. Reigns says that means Bryan is walking into WrestleMania 36 with the Universal title, which is perfect because he's entering the Royal Rumble and winning. Roman Reigns declares that WrestleMania main event will be Reigns versus Bryan. Yeah, not happening. Reigns goes on about how Bryan took the title from him. Bryan says if Reigns is trying to fire him up, that will do it, and he'll be here even more ready at WrestleMania. They are on the same page for the night's main event, but ready for battle for the title at WrestleMania. Oh, good grief, I don't even know what anyone thinks this is going to happen. Nope, it's not going to happen. The Fiend is going to eat that spear at WrestleMania. The only thing that would be worse than the Fiend losing the title to Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 2, that would hurt Roman Reigns if they did it with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan goes out there, has a fantastic match against Daniel, like, does what he can to help have a good match against Roman Reigns, only to eat a spear. You're going to get Roman Reigns hated much worse if you have that happen. So honestly, I think you might want to not tease this match, because this match is not going to happen. Otis versus Drew Gulak. We got Otis comes out. Back from break, and we have a promo with the Raw Tag Team Champion, the Women's Tag Team Champion, Asuka versus Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch at the Royal Rumble. Who cares? Colin Graves show us the Miz and did the Kofi Kingston after the match. Kathy Kelly is backstage. She knocks on Miz's door. But out comes John Morrison, making his return. He says Miz has nothing else to say. Nothing else to say about the match. We go back to the ring, and out comes Drew Gulak and Greg Hamilton. They introduce him. Drew Gulak not only is an expert at wrestling, but he is an expert at the heart. As Mandy Rose will never give Otis a chance. She's into guys like Gulak and Dolph. Gulak says Otis looks like he's leaking butter. He hits the apron to reveal his latest PowerPoint presentation, because Vince McMahon wants to push this down our throats. But the 100 reasons why Rose will never go for Otis. So pretty much it's a beatdown. Otis wins after he hits the Caterpillar. Otis goes for the second rope and hits a big Vader bomb. 1, 2, 3. That was that. Nothing else you can say about that. Drew Gulak was the Cruiserweight Champion only about 3 months ago. Had a fantastic match against Leo Rush. Is now just a jobber and a PowerPoint presentator. Gimmick didn't work during 205 Live. It's not going to work here. I wish Gulak could go back to NXT and actually do what he does best, and that's wrestle. What a waste of time. I wish better for a guy like Gulak. Braun Strowman versus Cesaro. This is, of course, a continuation of the fact that Braun Strowman is probably going to be winning the Intercontinental title at the Royal Rumble. Not much I can say here. This match was not something special. Power Neutralizer was not hit. Power Slam, 1, 2, 3. After the match, Nakamura hits the Kinshasa. Strowman recovers as we get a replay. Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Nakamura taunts Strowman from the ramp, and that is that. They showed us footage of last week, Corbin getting his title shot, his chance at the Universal title number 1 contenders match ruined because of Roman Reigns. So it's in this match that we have in this match that the Fiends towards the beginning of the match, we see Bryan sends Ziggler to the outside. The fans chant, started doing a yes chant, but we started hearing the laughs of the Universal Champion, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, echo over the arena. Bryan is in the middle of the ring, just looking around, and we just go to commercial. Now, towards the end of this match, lights go down after Bryan hit a running knee and sits up, but the lights go down and they come back. We hear the screaming sound, and the Fiend is at ringside in front of the announce desk for the commentator's booth. But Bryan runs the ropes, nails a suicide dive, sending Wyatt into the barrier. Bryan unloads, but the Fiend keeps taking everything. By the way, this should have been a disqualification as soon as the Fiend attacked Bryan. Wyatt applies the mandible claw. Jessica Carr is your referee. She doesn't ring the bell. He uses it to launch Bryan through the barrier. Fiend puts Bryan back down on the ground with a mandible claw and laughs. A mixed reaction. The menacing sound starts back up, and the Fiend stands tall over Bryan. Lights go out again, and the Fiend disappears. The match is still technically going on. The ref didn't call for the bell for some reason. I don't know why. That's an automatic ding ding ding, match over. So this was a no contest. Reigns comes over to check on Bryan, but Ziggler attacks and sends Reigns into Bryan on the ground. Corbin runs in, they bring him back in. Corbin pounds on Reigns as he gets handcuffs from Ziggler, and Corbin looks to chain Reigns at the top of the ring to humiliate him again as Ziggler pulls out a couple cans of dog food. It is 2020. It is a couple weeks later. Can we get rid of the fucking dog food? Out come the Usos. Fans pop as Jimmy and Jey Uso meet Ziggler with a double super kick. They send Corbin out and nail a suicide dive as they double super kicked him too before he went out. But on both heels, as Reigns starts to recover, the Usos help Reigns to his feet. Music hits, Ziggler and Corbin recover at ringside. The first Smackdown 2020 goes off the air, with the Usos standing tall in the ring with Roman Reigns. So, Roman has his backup. Now, who's going to join on the side of Corbin? Will it be The Miz? Who will it not be? It's great to see Jimmy and Jey Uso back. I hope they have something in plans outside of just being the guard dogs of the big dog. And Daniel Bryan versus The Fiend is going to be an interesting match going into the Royal Rumble. Who is going to be left for? Who's going to be next for the WWE to do? It's going to be interesting to see what happens. John Morrison, looks like we have him and Miz being tag team again, which who knows? We'll have to wait and see. Miz definitely turning heel. He snapped on Kofi Kingston, snapped on the fans as they were booing him as he was leaving. Just so many questions and not enough answers coming out of this episode of SmackDown. But that is your SmackDown review. It was a so-so show. There was some good, there was some bad. There wasn't anything terrible. Nothing this week was going to beat what happened with the wedding. That was awful. And we'll talk about what Vince McMahon's reaction was tomorrow on Unscripted episode 101. Until then, my name is Franz, and I'll see you guys later.